Our final inductee, Bill Swartz, is a veteran radio reporter and anchor who has been a trusted voice in Seattle media landscape since the 1980s. Known for his work as a sports reporter and anchor, Bill's career includes notable contributions as a sideline reporter for Washington Husky football and as a host for KOMO's Thursday night Dawg House. His passion for storytelling and sports journalism has earned him multiple accolades, including 2 Edward R. Murrow Regional Awards from the Radio Television Digital News Association. Please join me in watching this video honoring Bill Swartz.
I'm Bill Swartz. I'm the sports director at KNWN Radio in Seattle, Northwest News Radio, also the host of Puget Sound Now. At first, a little disbelief, then I was thrilled, then I was very excited to share the news with my family and colleagues who've known me for a long time. And then I got real reflective.
Great opportunities are right there in front of your team.
It is amazing that it's gone by, like this, and here we are in week 17.
Keith Jackson, it's a pleasure to talk with you, sir, for a few minutes on 97.3 Cairo FM. Good morning.
Good morning.
Well, Cougar Nation is here, and we're happy to have the Hall of Fame broadcaster, Bob Robertson, with us live this morning on News Radio 710 Cairo. Bob, thank you very much.
Bill, thank you. I was wondering if I could
look at the list of people who are in this elite group of Washington State University alums and went through the Murrow School of Communications. I'm part of that.
Bill can do anything and be really good at it, whether it's being a reporter, an MC, a comedian. His sense of humor is world class.
His creativity, his sense of humor, his legendary Bob Robertson led Bob Robertson to tell him at one point that if anything happens to me, you're on the air.
I always thought Bill did a better Bob Robertson than Bob did.
Takes great pride in being a professional radio man. There's a lot to be said for showing up every day for 40 plus years.
Just so versatile. Bill could do anything and do it well.
I think the fact that I've had the opportunity to go be part of some just historic events and cover them in person and get access to events and newsmakers and people that the general public would not. But then be able to convey that through my voice and my storytelling. I think those are the most valuable contributions I've made during my career, and it really makes me feel rewarded at the end of the day. I just spoke to a group of high school journalism students recently, and they asked me what kind of guides me every day when I think about doing stories and storytelling. I have a lot of C words that I use, honest to Pete, and one of them that starts my day is curiosity. Why should I be so caring about a topic or a guest that my listener would want to know more about that person or topic too? So curiosity drives everything.
Bill, you've earned this. A long career, quality work all along the way, quality man, quality person, quality teammate. You've done Washington State proud, and you've done the radio industry proud. All of us that have had the chance to work with you over the years look back on those days with great joy and appreciation and respect for you, the radio man, and you as Bill Swartz. Congratulations on this recognition.
Hey, Bill, I want to extend my sincerest congratulations on your induction into the Murrow School Hall of Achievement. I've known and worked with a number of your now fellow Hall members, and it's great to see you join in their company. You have to understand, it's still a little tough for me to say, go Cougs, but in this case, in your case, we're going to make an exception. Congratulations, my friend. Well done, Bill.
Let's see. It was the first day for a new school president. You had a coveted, decorated, beloved news anchor speak to you. You had Eric Johnson of the Heroes, the ultimate storyteller, and now all these heavy hitters, and then I bat ninth. That's an April Fool's joke. So, Bruce, I get it. You started with A, S, Swartz. I'm the last to go. But you've raised the bar, and it is truly an honor to be included in this remarkable group of achievers. It is April Fool's Day, and I think it's fitting in my career because it kind of started with a prankster in high school writing morning announcements, imitating teachers and making my classmates laugh. And that got me a little notoriety. And then later, as you saw in the tape, I was on a Husky tailgate show and impersonating Cougar legends, and it gave me some popularity. I mean, what joy to get to know Keith Jackson, and then, talk about a big old sophomore who could pick him up and put him down and flat out fly. And then my first Apple Cup ever working the sideline, it is just the legendary Bob Robertson and myself going up the elevator at Husky Stadium. And Bob knew that I was doing impersonations of him. He didn't let on. I said, I'm Bill Swartz. I'm a huge fan. I used to just sit on the Barco Lounger, listen to your broadcast. You're an artist. I just worship you as a Coug. Oh, you're that guy who's been imitating me. And I go, oh, here it comes. Hey, listen, Swartz, if I go down in the fourth quarter, you come up, start talking, nobody will know the difference. Always be a good sport, always. And he was to me. What a great treasure he was. And it was a joy for me to be back in Pullman, God's country. And today, I actually went over to Murrow Hall and hobnobbed around KWSU, KUGR. I earned my chops as the Latah County reporter, Moscow School Board, and a political science minor. And what did I do my first year in the world? I was covering a school board in Sunnyside, Washington. And it prepared me so much for those big opportunities that would be out there. And no fooling, it is a joy to be back in this God's country, this special part of the world, and be so honored with this group of people who are, risen to the top of their profession and given back so much to their communities and honored WSU and the name Edward R. Murrow. Every time I receive one of those trophies, man, really? Murrow? I got a Murrow? And now this is like enormous times a bazillion. So it is really, really cool. The thanks in my career start with my parents, who instilled with me their Pennsylvania Dutch work ethic. The job wasn't over until you did it right. And Don and Emily also had a love for writing, arts, and entertainment. My dad sings in a country western duo. He's 93 years old. Now you know where I get it, okay? And they didn't judge me when I switched from one art form, classical music, over to another, reporting and storytelling. And they supported me every lick of the way. And then my family and friends who got it, that if you're in radio, it's late nights, long flights, early morning hours. You miss a lot of gatherings. You miss a lot of birthday parties and that sort of thing. And so I thank them for all their support and understanding about the sacrifice. My biggest thanks is to my co-creator, my editor, my fashion designer at times, my travel agent, and the love of my life, my wife, Connie. And when she raised her hand about this Husky stuff, you know that I'm the one who's really glad we're still playing the Apple Cup, especially after last year. And somebody tried to run a short side option play for a winning touchdown. Who does that? The game's here this year, right? You're going to get your first Apple Cup. Welcome, President. I know you are. So I go back to my WSU days, and you've been all talking about influential professors, like we just heard from. And by the way, let me just say congratulations to all of you. I'm just in a lead company here with Bruce and Paul and Marty and Scott and Rebecca, and we just heard from Rebecca about what it is to give that time, that investment in kids. And I had two people in my world at WSU when I morphed in here from the music world, and those were Jim Dunn, who was a hard guy. We had 25 typewriters and 30 bodies. These were manual typewriters. You had a 60-second test, go. And if you didn't pass that test, see you next semester. And that's how you weeded out kids who were real serious about broadcasting and communication. The other professor taught me how to write sentences for the ear And to be fair and tough with my questions and to complete the story and do it right was Val Lindbergh. We heard about him before. A gentle soul who lined me up with my first internship in the real world, and then I was off and running. I had so many colleagues and mentors that I got to thank, too many to name, but my first opportunity was in Sunnyside, Washington, and Don Bennett was one of the pioneers in radio broadcasting in the state, and he gave me my first crack at it, and he would come in the morning and say, good volume. He'd light up his pipe. What do you mean, good volume? Was I loud? No, he had lots of stories, and they're all good. Good volume. And then I went to Sunnyside, and you saw her picture. From there, I went to Kirkland, and I didn't think I was ready for the big market. But this woman named Patty Payne would not accept no for an answer. I need you. I must have you work. And she cajoled me. And she finally got me to go over there, and she and Andy Thompson opened the doors. They gave me the keys to create, and they showed me this gear and said, hey, guess what? Saturday, you're doing Little League baseball games on the radio. I said, excuse me? In Kirkland, Washington? It was the biggest break I'd ever received in my life. They won the World Series in 1982 with Cody Webster and Taiwan, and I was the guy along for the ride. I mean, how blessed was I? But my training here at WSU prepared me for that moment, for that opportunity. And then I got hired over at KOMO. Gary Stewart opened the door for me there. It was the finest group of news people I've ever worked with in my life. Mike Conklin was part of that team. I got to work with Eric Johnson and Keith Shipman. These people are all legends. And why? Because they got their training at Washington State University. That's why. They're Cougs. Now, another Coug welcomed me into the Cairo family, Dave Pridemore. He still drives his RV over here. He told me about his story proposing to his wife next to the grain silos at Washtukna. If that's not a Coug, what is a Coug? Huh? So that's what you're ingrained here. That's why you come back here every year, and you're part of this special world over here in the Palouse. What I learned through Washington State University, it prepared me for these tremendous opportunities, and no moment was too big for me. When I got to meet and interview some of these legends like Arthur Ashe and the First Lady Barbara Bush, and people always say, what was your best interview? What was your most favorite? They all were. You know you're making a difference in somebody's life by asking the right question, telling the right story. And we've heard about it so much today through all of the symposium, through Harry's great speech, that now more than ever we need journalists to tell those stories, really well-trained journalists who aren't afraid to speak truth to power and stand up and do the right thing. Yeah, I thank my Murrow colleagues and a lot of my friends for nominating me, and especially the HOA board for considering me worthy. I mean, Dean said it beautifully. It's less than 1% of. See, I didn't go to mass school here. I went to communication school. Okay, it's an elite. It's finite, and to be considered worthy and be that group of esteemed people, it is really, really cool. These are folks I've admired my entire career, and now to be in that club. Man, that's ultra cool. Yeah, I was associated with that former Pac-12 school and their sports teams for a long, long time. And, I'm always proud to be a Washington State University graduate. That's the first thing. I didn't wear a lot of crimson and gray when I was over there in Seattle, but now I got no dog in the hunt. So I proudly say, go Cougs!